Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar for Cyber Threat Intelligence for Security Operations Center. As always, let's wait a couple of minutes more to see if anyone is coming. Maybe we can start in 4 minutes. So, welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depends on where you live. And welcome to this webinar on Cyber Threat Intelligence for Security Operations Center. As we all know, cyber threats have become a major concern for organizations of all sizes and industries. With the increasing sophistication of cyber attacks and the ever-evolving threat landscape, it has become crucial for organizations to be proactive in their approach to cybersecurity. This is where cyber threat intelligence comes in. As you know, cyber threat intelligence is the process of gathering and analyzing information about potential cyber threats, including their capabilities, intentions, and motivations. By leveraging this intelligence, organizations can better understand the threats they are facing and take proactive measures to protect their assets and data. In this webinar, we will be exploring the methods used to collect and analyze intelligence and the tools and techniques that can be used to operationalize it. So whether you are a seasoned cybersecurity professional or just start out, I hope you find this webinar informative and valuable. And let's dive into to explore the world of cyber threat intelligence. So first of all, let's talk about a little bit about the challenges what SOC teams face. I used to be head of the SOC team, and I am very familiar with these challenges. Of course, there's many challenges SOC teams has to face, but those are some important and critical challenges than others. As a security operations center analyst, you are all the forefront of the defending your organization against cyber threats. However, the job is not without its challenge. As you know, SOC teams face multiple challenges that can impact their ability to detect, investigate, and respond to cyber threats. One of the most known challenges is budget, of course, for everyone, for every security professional. That's the first challenge we have to face. SOC teams most of the time have limited budgets and resources to create and maintain the necessary security tools and technologies, which can limit their ability to effectively protect the organization. This can make it difficult for SOC teams to implement the necessary security controls and they keep pace with the new threats and vulnerabilities. One other challenge is facing SOC analysts is the ever-evolving nature of the cyber threats. As you know, again, attackers are constantly coming up with the new techniques and tactics by bypassing the measures and the infiltrate networks, which means that SOC analysts need to stay up to date on the latest threat intelligence and trends in order to effectively detect and respond to potential threats. In addition to these challenges, one other challenge is the sheer volume of the data that needs to be analyzed on a daily basis. With the increasing complexity and frequency of the cyber attacks, there is a constant stream of alerts and events that need to be triggered and investigated. This can be overwhelming for SOC analysts and professionals who are often forced to prioritize the alerts based on the limited information and resources. So as we mentioned, that there is where cyber threat intelligence come in to help. So SOC teams are responsible for identifying, analyzing, and responding security incidents within the organization's IT infrastructure. But in today's digital landscape, the number of complexity of cyber threats continue to increase and make it challenging for SOC teams to keep up with the latest threats and vulnerabilities. We are going to talk about those things in the next slides in more detail. Again, that's the where cyber threat intelligence platform comes in. A CTI platform is a tool that collects and analyzes threat intelligence data from a variety of sources, which is included open source feeds, vendor feeds, and internal resources. And by leveraging the CTI platform, SOC teams can gain valuable insight into the emerging threats, attack techniques, and other relevant information that can help them to detect and respond to security incidents faster and more effectively. So here's some benefits using cyber threat intelligence platforms for SOC teams. One of them is improved threat detection. A CTI platform can provide SOC teams with up-to-date threat intelligence data, which can help them detect threats faster and more accurately. There is also enhanced incident response. With the help of CTI platform, SOC teams can quickly identify the type of threat and take appropriate action to respond to it. It can also help you to better decision-making. CTI platforms provide SOC teams with valuable insight into the latest threats and vulnerabilities, which can help them make more informed decisions about their security posture. The other thing is increased efficiency. By automating the collection and analysis of the threat intelligence data, CTI platforms can free up SOC teams to focus on other critical tasks. Also, comprehensive threat coverage, which is CTI platform can provide to the SOC teams with a holistic view of the threat landscape, including emerging threats, vulnerabilities, and attack techniques. Overall, a cyber threat intelligence platform is an essential tool for SOC teams in today's fastly evolving threat landscape, and it can help them stay ahead of the curve, identify and respond to threats quickly and efficiently, and ultimately protect their infrastructure. So we talk about the challenges SOC teams face today, and we also talk about how cyber threat intelligence can help. As you know, there are many products in the market. They offer cyber threat intelligence, but I'd like to talk about a little bit why you need to choose SOC Radar, what SOC radar does different, anything from other cyber threat intelligence. So maybe this can help you. We already talked about the challenges. As I said, it's not possible for us to address all challenges in this 1-hour webinar. That's why I'm going to talk about 3, according to me and most of the authorities, most important challenges that is going to be solved by SOC radar modules. And these three challenges are respectively threat monitoring, threat investigation, and threat prioritization. So those are the things we are going to take a closer look. So when SOC teams need to do the threat investigation, again, there are too many challenges. They are waiting for them. But again, if we summarize them in 3 categories, that's what I try to do. Those are limited tools detecting threat is hard and dispersed data. Basically, those are like, one of them again is cost. Cyber threat investigation tools can be expensive. So SOC teams cannot purchase whatever tools they want. So they have limited tools. And that's why SOC teams need to use limited tools most of the time because of the cost problem or the budget problem. When it comes to choose the right tool, it is important for SOC teams to choose the right tool because they don't have most of the time, they don't have the most of the options. It's also, digital evidence is very complex. Digital evidence can be complex and difficult to interpret, especially in cases where attackers have taken steps to hide their tracks. Investigators need to be skilled in computer forensic and digital analysis to effectively investigate the cyber threats. Also, the global nature of cybercrime. Cybercrime is a global problem and attackers can be located anywhere in the world. This can make it difficult for investigators to track them down and prosecute the attackers. Again, the volume of the data, most of the time we call this alarm fatigue or data fatigue, you can call whatever you want. Investigations often involve large amount of data, especially from the dark web. I am going to talk about how much data we are crawling from the dark web for SOC radar, and those numbers gonna, I hope, impress you because the numbers are enormous. Those data include log files, network traffic, and other digital evidence. And analyzing this data, also collecting data, is already difficult, and analyzing this data is also can be time-consuming and requires specialized tools and expertise. Also, cyber threats investigations often involve multiple organizations. This is not the thing you can do just by yourself. You have to cooperate with other organizations like law enforcement agencies, government agencies, other private organizations, or alliances. You have to involve. Coordinating and sharing information between these organizations can be challenging, especially in cases where the jurisdictional issues. Of course, privacy is important. In the course of investigations, investigators may have to access the sensitive data, including personal and financial information. And it is important to balance the need for access to this information with the need to protect individual privacy. But again, overall, cyber threat investigation requires specialist skills, tools, and collaboration between organizations and effectively identify and prosecute the cyber criminals. So those are the challenges for threat investigations. There are some challenges for threat monitoring. As you know, threat investigations and threat monitoring is completely different things. Most of the people can think those are the same thing, but those are definitely not the same things. Investigation, you have to go deeper. Monitoring is just, you just have to analyze the data in front of you in your screen or in your database. So, but even if you just monitor the threats, there are still too many challenges. But I'm trying to categorize them in 3. And those are the disparate risks, too many threat actors, and unrelated threats. What I mean by them, first of all, again, for monitoring data, as I mentioned in the previous slide, collecting data is not easy, but even if you collect the data, analyzing data is also a very difficult job. So again, volume of the data is a problem, is a big challenge in this category in monitoring the threats. And organizations generate vast amount of data every day, including network logs, application logs, security events, and monitoring all of this data in real time can be a daunting task, especially for large organizations with complex networks. And there are too many false positives. Most of the time, cyber threat monitoring system can generate a large number of false positives, which can be time consuming to investigate and distract security teams from the legitimate threats. And again, involving threats, the threats are constantly evolving and attackers are becoming more sophisticated in their methods. This means that monitoring systems need to be updated regularly and keep up with the latest threats. Alarm fatigue, we already talked about this. Complexity, we already talked about this. Cyber threat monitoring requires deep understanding of organizations' network system applications. But again, overall, effective cyber threat monitoring requires a combination of skills, professionals, advanced technology, effective processes and procedures to identify and respond to potential security threats. So let's talk about a little bit more about these challenges. For example, the keeping up with the threat actors. Assigning levels to specific attackers is difficult, and especially for the most capable ones. The level assigned to the attackers represent the maximum capability they are currently judged to have. So threat actors will often use the easiest route they can achieve their objectives and will avoid deploying their most valuable capabilities unless truly necessary. You already imagine this. They have many tools, many advanced skills, maybe especially APTs, but they're not going to use it if they can easily hack you. So most of the time they ask for insiders, give us initial access, and we are going to pay you a lot of money. Instead of developing new arsenal or new techniques, they just basically looking to get in the organization, like hack the organization, the most simply way. So they may therefore use tactics, techniques, and procedures that may be used by much lower capability actors, including exploiting commonly known vulnerabilities. They use a lot these ones, most common vulnerabilities. Instead of finding new vulnerabilities, most of the threat actors using the most known vulnerabilities and using publicly available tools instead of developing new ones. So some attackers may be extremely capable in one area, for example, attacks against financial infrastructure, but for less capable in another, attacks against the power infrastructure. So let's say you're working for a bank and there's a one threat actor, they're attacking the critical infrastructure. So you don't have to worry much about this threat actor because the threat actor is currently not targeting the financial industry, but they're targeting the critical infrastructure. So you need someone to this classification for you. Otherwise, you cannot keep up all the threat actors all the times. There are like many threat actors daily. We are trying to follow dark web and the source web. There are always new threat actors. It is almost impossible to follow up, keep up with these threat actors. So appropriately ranking the extent of which such actors can cause harm requires consideration of their intention. So again, you need to see somebody like analyst, cyber threat intelligence analyst, who can analyze these threat actors and can let you know if this threat actor is a real threat to your organization or not. So just like threat actors, also there are too many threats in cyberspace. In general, a threat is anything that could be object, substance, human, that is capable of acting in a manner that can result in harm. So not every threat could be a real threat to your organization. It is important to analyze threats and threat actors' focus and intention. And as we talked about the previous slide, the essential goal of the threat prioritization is to determine the likelihood that a specific campaign carried out by the particular threat actor will manifest itself within the enterprise under consideration. So this likelihood should be deducted from actual threat events observed by the enterprise, even in its security monitoring system, or retrieved from the external sources like public threat reports, commercial cyber threat intelligence feeds, closed CTI communities. So as you can see on the screen, there are top 15 cyber threats. Of course, there are many more. Let's say phishing. So SOC teams cannot be worried about all the phishing campaigns because there are too much. They always keep changing phishing techniques and tactics. Recently, as you know, we are doing the CyberWatch webinar series every month. In the last couple of webinars, we were talking about the callback phishings, for example. This is very popular right now, and I am planning to write a blog about that. So anyway, if this campaign is not targeting your organization, for example, there's a conflict or war, if you like to say, between Ukraine and Russia develops new tactics and attacks against Ukraine. If this phishing attack, let's say there's a one phishing campaign, that this phishing campaign only targets the Ukrainian organization, governmental organization. So, and an SOC team in United Kingdom or United States shouldn't worry about this campaign at the moment. Of course, I am not saying to ignore this thing, but at the moment, this phishing is only focusing Ukrainian government agencies. So why the SOC team should be bothered with this alarm or alert, as you wish to say. So again, you need someone to analyze this threats for you. And if this is a real threat to your organization, then you need to get this information immediately, of course. I'd like to share some statistics about the ransomware attacks, which I gathered all statistics gathered from the SOC Radar platform. As you can see that from 2022 to 2023 first quarter, almost 70% of total victims paid a ransom. So their data is not exposed. So only, however, 30% of the victims refused the payment and their data was exposed by the threat actors. As you can imagine, 70% is a very serious number. So I'm sure this 70%, in this 70%, there are Fortune 500 companies, huge companies, even banks, they have huge SOC teams, but even they cannot escape from this ransomware attacks. Because as I said, this landscape is constantly changing. Threat actors are constantly changing. It is impossible to keep up with them. So that's why, especially for the ransomware attacks, SOC teams need some backups. In the second graph, just in 3 months, as you can see, Lockbit just by itself, just Lockbit, announced like 241 victims. This is just January, February, and March. And today's March what? 23rd. So today is March 23rd. So the statistics are only contains the information for January, February, and March until this day. So 241 is a lot. If you just take a look at the graph under that one, in the first quarter of 2023, there are already 609 victims announced by the different ransomware groups. This is, I believe it's a very huge number, 609 victims. When we compare this number with the last year, we can say the number of victims are almost doubled in the first quarter of 2023. Of course, most of the time, United States is the country who gets the most of the ransomware attacks because, as you know, most of the Fortune 500 companies are in the United States. So even if time changes, I remember in 2022, 2021, United States was always at the top of the ransomware attacks. Most of the time it was followed by the United Kingdom and the European Union countries. So the other thing is SOC teams need to prioritize their alerts because there are too many vulnerabilities, again, with the threats, and the other challenges. It is almost impossible to keep up with the vulnerabilities because, again, there are too much vulnerabilities and SOC teams need to know which vulnerabilities they should need to worry about it and which should not, they should worry about it. When we talk about the vulnerabilities, I would like to talk about a little bit about the disadvantages of CVSS scoring. As you know, CVSS is a special numeric method, and an open standard scoring framework used by organizations as a system to define the impact vulnerabilities and present the impact of the vulnerabilities on a scale from 0 to 10. But this is not enough, basically. Why it's not enough, you may ask? Firstly, this score does not always accurately reflect the risk associated with the particular vulnerabilities. This is because it is an open framework, meaning that anyone can create scores and use them without having a clear understanding of the criteria used for measuring overall critically. And additionally, the use of vulnerability calculators can take the information from different resources and calculate CVSS score without taking into account other aspects of cybersecurity. Furthermore, due to its open framework, it is difficult for organizations to take into account all factors when creating a score, and this can lead to inaccurate results. For example, some organizations may assign a high CVSS score to a vulnerability that is actually low risk, and additionally, the CVSS score does not account for the possibility of future vulnerabilities or national vulnerability database, which can make it difficult to accurately assess the risk associated with the given vulnerability. So what do you suggest? You're saying CVSS score is not good enough. So we'd like to introduce you SOC Radar Vulnerability Risk Score, CVRS. So as you can see, unlike CVSS, SVRS score vulnerabilities based on many parameters like social media mentions, cybersecurity news, cert advisories, public code repositories, and mentions at the hacker channels or criminal forums. That's why, unlike CVSS, CVRS is dynamic, not static. As you can see, this is the graphic. I get it from the platform again, SOC Radar platform. CVRS score changes daily almost based on this sources, the information, based on the information gathered from the sources. So it is a dynamic score. It is not a static score, unlike CVSS. So I even wrote an academic paper about this SVRS, and I submitted to IEEE conference. Hopefully, it will be published soon. Maybe if it is published by IEEE, maybe you can get a chance to take a technical details about the CVRS score. But this score gives, again, SOC teams to better understand the vulnerability and how to prioritize them. So before ending our webinar, let's take a look at the SOC Radar platform. But first of all, I guess we have a survey. Please take a couple of minutes of your time and fill up this survey. Just after the survey, I want to take you to our platform and try to show you some cool stuff. I'm just waiting for the results of the survey, then we can continue our webinar with the SOC Radar platform, because most of the time we are telling, okay, we have solutions, but you need to see with your own eyes what kind of solutions exactly we are offering. So this is hard to explain this in the PowerPoint slide, of course. So I need to show you the platform and its feature a little bit. Of course, I don't have time to show you everything, but okay, we can continue from here. Let me share this. The results is going to take a couple of minutes more. So I hope you can see my screen. Let me see. Yes, thank you, Federico. All right, let's continue. First of all, I'd like to show you all our threat hunting search. So it is like a Google search of SOC radar, but it's much better than Google. So in this threat hunting database, we have like 5 billion still log records. And we have also 4 billion leak accounts. And I'm going to show you, we have some rules for SOC teams to detect threats. So we have some rules. We have approximately 2,000 threat hunting rules, which can help you to hunt the threats much better. So what we can do with this threat hunting, what you can search. Let's take a look. For example, let's say you want to see more information about this CVE. It was this, I guess. So if you search the CVE, this vulnerability, you can see all the mentions in here, search results. And as I mentioned, you can see our score. In this case, CVR. Okay, here's the results for the survey. Let's take a look. How proactive is your organization in hunting for external threats? Natural. That's interesting. Has your organization experienced ransomware attacks? No, that's good. There are some organizations they have. Okay. How does your organization use risk scoring system? We prioritize based on severity of vulnerability. Good. As I said, this you most probably use the CVSS, but I already mentioned how CVSS is not that good enough. Of course, you can keep using it. We are using it still, but just CVSS score is not good enough, I believe. How much visible does your organization currently have attacker into? Limited visibility. Yeah, most of the time organizations have limited visibilities. I agree. That's why you need cyber threat intelligence. Monthly is very good. Most of the organizations I know, they do it maybe annual or not at all. So what tools and techniques, open source threat intelligence? That is good, but open source threat intelligence, most of the time maintenance could be a problem. Like you have to dedicate another group of people to maintenance, to the maintenance for the, or if there's any technical problems, that could be an issue. Intelligence is up to date, relevant, specific. All right, how's the organization going? You like the in the future? That's good. Okay, I don't want to take much of your time. Let's keep continue. So as I mentioned, the CVSS score is not good enough. As I said, I'm not just saying this. I already wrote the academic paper. I submitted to IEEE because I truly believe CVSS is not enough when you prioritize the vulnerabilities. So you can see the CVRS score with this vulnerability. In this case, they are very similar. This is 10, this is 99 out of 100. But in some cases, the CVRSS score is high and the CVSS score is low. And in some other cases, it's vice versa. So we believe our, as you can see in explanation in here, our vulnerability scoring is much better than CVSS and help the organizations for better understanding. So you can see the vulnerability life cycle in here. And as I said, you can find all the mentions in the surface web. There are, if there's an exposed data, this is a Telegram channel. You can find it here. public buckets. We also search the public buckets. If anything is related to this CVA, you can find it in here. Can I zoom it? Sure. Is it better, John? Okay, great. So what else? What else you can search in here? Let's check a domain, for example, Uber.com. Oh, here we go. Okay. You see, our website is secure. I mean, the platform. Come on, Socrates, don't do this to me. Did the platform kick me out? Oh, there it is. Okay, so we did a research on Uber.com. As you can see, all the, again, mentions it's in our whitelist because we are using some sources, whitelist sources, and based on the sources. No, I didn't ask you that. Go back. We use the sources if this URL is in the whitelist or not, so the risk is very low, as you can see here. You can see the subdomains and all the details in here. So basically, you can do all the search. So if there's any Stela log, as I mentioned, we have 5 billion Stela logs in our system. If there's any Stela log, I cannot show you the details in here because there could be some privacy issues. But we have 5 billion Stela logs, and if any Stela log there's mentioned about Uber.com, it's going to be listed in here, and it's going to be categorized by the if it is a log stealer for customer or the employee. But of course, for Uber.com, the drivers also count as a, I guess, employee of the Uber. So this number could be for a lot for the Uber. There are also some data breaches. We also show this if there's a data breach data set about this Uber.com, you can find it in here. Also, if there's any exposed raw data, those are the Telegram channels, as you can imagine. You can find it here. There's also public buckets like S3, and if this is mentioned, if any of you remember, there was a blue bleed. There was a one misconfigured Microsoft bucket. We found it. There was a very critical information in that bucket. So we take all the necessary precautions and contacted the Microsoft and possibly prevent a huge disaster. Again, if this URL is in any public bucket, it could be misconfigured or not. We are going to list it here. And if there's any repository, most of the time, if you remember, once there was a Microsoft Exchange developer, he or she forgot the admin's password and the username in the bucket, which that bucket was a public, and that was a disaster for the Microsoft. And if there's something like that, we are going to find it and list it here. So for example, you want to know more about the, let's say, threat actor Black Cat. What do you have, Socrates? Show me. So again, with this keyword Black Cat, you can find the trending keywords for this threat actors and recent IPs, host names, and hashes. Where are the hashes? It could be in the threat actor sector in the left, in here. So you can get a lot of details about the Black Cat or Lockbit or any other threat actor. So let's say I wonder if my email is leaked. Let's see if I hope it's not. I hope it is not. That would be a disaster. What is this? No. Yes, no result found, of course. I checked it before the webinar. I wouldn't do that in front of everybody, of course. As you can see, there is no data breach about me. There is no stealer log. There is no data breach set. There is no raw data or public data, but you can check just like the Have I Been Pwned website, but you can check it for your website, your email. Most of the time, our customers use this as a VIP protection for their C-level executives' personal email addresses. Because as you know, the C-level executives have many rights, many admin rights. They can see much sensitive data than regular employee. So they're not just business corporate emails, their personal emails also a big asset for the companies. So most of the time companies give us their C-level executives' personal email addresses to track them down. If there's any leak, we just let them immediately. So the other thing I want to show you is the dark web. So accessing the dark web and monitoring it is extremely difficult job, but thanks to our dark web, all the dark web news can be brought to you. Also ransomware attacks in here. So most of the security professionals I talk, they never been in the dark web in their life. So I know that because most of the people, let's say, hesitate to go to dark web. Even if you regularly go to dark web, there are some hacker forums and criminal forums. You have to be a member, and being a member for some forums is not easy. For some forums, I know you had to wait like 6 months, 1 year, or for some forums, you had to prove yourself to get in the forum. So even if you go to the dark web, you regularly monitor the dark web, most of the time, these forums are not accepting you, or they are going to give you a hard time to let you get into their forum. But in here, you don't have to go to dark web. This is updated daily. There are many posts in here, so you can see everything in here, what's going on in the dark web, and monitor Firefox, bridge directory, dehashed. Yes, but those are the tools you can use as well, Michael. Thank you. You can also use the filters, like if you're the finance industry and if you want to see the dark web threats or posts against the finance industry, you can click here. Or you want to see if there's a specific attack to your country, you can click to your country or region. If you want to just see if there's any database, yeah, the last one should be used very carefully. Michael, you're right. You have selling or sharing, you can check it here. So again, there are many threat actors in the ransomware business is huge. Already give you the statistics, and they announce the victims daily, and you can find the latest victims in here without going to their webpage. So I can show you the threat actors a little bit. We have much more details. We have also blog posts in our blogs. We specifically write down, do the research and write about the threat actors in more details. You can find general details about the threat actors, their let's say which CVs they use and what other names they have, latest news about the threat actors and their IOCs. You can find all the details in here. Also, you can check our blog website about this. So currently, let's say there's no blog post in QuackBot, but if you write anything about the QuackBot, it's going to be appearing here, and you can see the more details about this. And you can find also URL and Sigma rules in here for threat actors. So in threat actors, we have like so far in dark web, I'm sorry, we have like 30,000 dark web posts so far. And in the malware part, we are following like 7,000 malwares and threat actors we are currently monitoring. That's a huge number, as you can imagine, 7,000. And so far we have like 5,000 detected leak in our database, which we share our customers. So the last thing I want to show you is vulnerability intelligence. Where are you? Oh, right here. So as I mentioned, you as a SOC team, you need to prioritize your vulnerabilities. I give you much details about, maybe you already use different tools for CVSS scoring. But in here, we are using our scoring system based on the also CVSS. Again, you can check it here for more details. You can subscribe any vulnerability, like if you use Microsoft in your system, like let's say Microsoft Exchange or 365, and you want to follow the just vulnerabilities about this Microsoft Exchange or the 365, you can just subscribe for it and you can get more information about that. Again, in this here, I believe SVRS, SOC Radar Vulnerability Risk Score, is going to help you a lot than CVSS to prioritize your vulnerabilities. So this is all for this webinar. I hope you find it useful. For more, you can click the link, free access for CTI for SOC. It is better to get here and do your own research, because the results, maybe you're going to search much more different things and you want to see if the results are accurate for you or not. So just clicking the link, you can get a free access to STI for SOC module, and doing your research is going to help you much better. Again, I hope you find this webinar useful. If you have any questions, maybe I can. Kalpesh, is there a way to verify IOC in bulk, such as URL, IPS, and file hashes? Is there a way to verify the bulk? You mean in our platform, Kalpesh? Yes, you can. You can, as I said, using the threat hunting, you can just go there and type the IOC, whatever it is, if it is an hash, if it is an IP or URL, you can just check it in threat hunting and see the results. $1 billion records, yes, you can, I believe. Is there another question? Let me check the Q&A. Anthony, there is a provider of the service in LATAM. What is LATAM, Anthony? I'm not sure. I didn't understand the question. Sorry. Oh, Latin America. Sorry about that. I didn't know that. Okay. When you said service provider, human partner, We have partners in Latin America, yes. If that was the question, yes, we have partners in Latin America. Any other question? Maybe. I guess not. In Chile, adaptive security. Can I contact him? So, do we have an email, Aaron, to give you Anthony to contact? I am looking for you. Which email I can provide? Maybe we can get the information of Anthony Eren. Okay. We are gonna contact you, Anthony, to give you the details. Oh, Mario, adaptive security in Chile. You see, he's here. Does CTI provide feed who can integrate with? Yes, integration is very important. That's a very good question, Diego. Without integration, you have to come and check everything in our platform, which is not useful and time consuming. Our platform can integrate with your current solutions. It could be a CM, SOAR, or whatever you have inside. You can integrate its cyber threat intelligence platform to your internal solutions. That was a very good question. Thank you. Is there any other questions? I guess not. Okay, thank you so much for everyone for your time, for joining our webinar. I hope you find it, or let's see, there's. This platform can integrate your MISP. Yes, it can integrate your ad. It can integrate your MISP. Unfortunately, has closed their accessible plans. They're only Milner. Again, I am not in the sales department, so I don't know the details, but we are going to take a note and we are going to contact you and give you the hopefully better plans for you. We are going to contact you after this webinar. We are taking a note. Kalpesh have another question. What is supply chain TI? Supply chain is a third party, as you know, Kalpesh. Many organizations, if you remember the SolarWinds incident, almost all the departments, like federal departments, ministries in the United States, hacked by the Russian hackers, like Department of Defense, Department of State, very critical departments. Actually, the Russians didn't hack those departments, but the SolarWinds was one of the third-party organization which gives security services to the departments, and they hacked the SolarWinds. Via SolarWinds, they were able to get the sensitive information of this organizations. So third-party monitoring, third-party is very important. We have also supply chain intelligence in cyber threat intelligence under the cyber threat intelligence module. That's also a very good question, Kalpesh. Supply chain threat intelligence is very important because in the near future, I believe supply chain intelligence, like the risks from the supply chains or the third parties, is going to be much bigger because most of the organizations, instead of their, like, can you imagine trying to hack the Department of Defense, United States Department of Defense? That's not an easy job. But hacking Department of Defense via third-party organization, much easier. Government, how do you officially handle government data leaks? What do you mean government data leaks? We do not handle it at all. Yes, Miller, you can integrate logarithm. Exactly. All right, thank you so much again to you all. I much appreciated to coming this webinar and taking the time with me. Hopefully, see you in the next webinar, Cyber Watch series in April 6th, I guess. You guys all take care of yourself and have a good one.